Question 1, we're simply going to multiply this here. We'll start with our first terms to multiply. We're going to insert a coefficient there in front of that x squared. Multiply the two coefficients first. 2 times 1 is 2. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. Now at this point you could actually go through and mark off answer choice D because that does not start with 2x to the fourth. And let's do another distribution here. Multiply your coefficients. 2 times -3, that's -6. And then you could actually go through and say, okay, which one has -6? You already know that the answer is going to be C. We're actually going to go ahead and finish this problem here. X squared times x to the first is x to the third. And since there's no other y's, I still have to include this y here in the term. And then we have one more. Insert a coefficient. 2 times -1 is -2. There's not an x squared to multiply over here with this guy, but I have to include it. And there's not any other y's to multiply with the y squared here, but we still have to include that. So again, you can come down here and you can confirm that the answer is C. Question 2 is asking you to find the volume of the figure below. Volume is length times width times height. So we could just do what is 6 times 3 times 2. Well, 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. And remember, when we multiply with exponents, we're actually adding them. X to the first times x to the first times x to the first is x to the third. And so our answer is A. Question 3, simplify. First thing we want to do here, let's draw our fraction bar. We're going to take what is -20 divided by 15. Well, if you can't reduce that, you can type in -20 divided by 15 in your calculator and then convert it to a fraction. And if you do -20 divided by 15, you're going to get -1.3 repeating. But when you convert that to a fraction, it's going to be actually -4/3. Now let's look at our x's. I have 3 x's up top, and then I have 1 x on bottom. I can cancel a set of x's out. That leaves me with 2 up top. And then look at your y's. The y's, I have 4 of them on bottom. So I have y, 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 and y on bottom. I have 1 of them up top. I can cancel out 1 set of x's, but you'll notice that I have 3 of them left on the bottom. So here's the answer we need to match up to the multiple choice. And you can clearly see that our answer is going to be A here. Alrighty, let's go on to question 4. Very similar to question 3. Draw our fraction bar. 60 divided by 10, that's going to give me a whole number of 6. If you get a whole number, the number is going to go up top. And then here we go. If I have 9 x's up top and 1 x on bottom, if I were to actually literally come over here and draw 9 x's, and we can do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 1 on the bottom. If I cancel a set out, that is going to leave me with 8 up top. And then the same thing with the y's. If I have 5 of them up top and 1 on bottom, I can cancel 1 set out, and that's going to still leave me with 4 up top, which means there's nothing to put down underneath the fraction bar. So here is our answer. And so you can see our answer is B. Number 5. Now on number 5, I gave you a hint here, and I said use stow. And the reason why I'm asking you to use stow in this problem is because you will see that there are more letters in this problem than there are numbers. And so what that means is you're going to take a random number, and it really depends on what you picked. Maybe you picked 5 and you stowed it to the letter X. You store 5 to X. And then maybe you picked 8 and you store it to the letter A. Then what you need to do is you need to create a fraction in your calculator, and you're going to type this in. So actually, I'm going to do this off to the side here. If I take 5 and I store it to x in my calculator, and I'm going to take 8 and I'm going to store that to the letter A in my calculator. And if I create a fraction key and type in the top part here, that we would type that in as x raised to the power of A plus 7. And then on the bottom part, it would be x raised to the power of A. Now, whenever I use these two numbers here, my calculator is going to give me an output of 78,125. Your number may be different based upon what two numbers you stored for x and A. We are not worried about what this number right here equals. We want to find which one of these answer choices is going to give me a similar output. And when I find that match, I know that's the answer. So here we go. I'm going to take letter A. I'm actually going to type x raised to the 7th power in my calculator. And when I do that, I get 78,125. That tells me that this is my answer. Notice that I have two matching outputs. But what if you're wondering, how would I answer this using algebra, using the law of exponents? Well, you have to think backwards here on this top part. So I'm going to draw a fraction bar. And remember our rule. When do we add exponents? We add exponents when we are multiplying, right? So I can actually rewrite the top part of this fraction right here. I could write that as x to the a power times x to the 7th power, because the rule says you would just simply add the two small numbers. But in this case, we have a letter, so that would be a plus 7. And then now I'm going to write x to the a on bottom. Well, look right here. If you have an x to the a on top and you have an x to the a on bottom, it creates a canceling set. And guess what I'm left with? X to the 7th. And then number 6, I simply said anything, it doesn't matter what it is, anything to the power of 0 will always equal 1. In fact, you could pick any number for A, any number for B, any number for C. If you type this in and you take it to the power of 0, it will always equal 1. So our answer is 1.